Hello and welcome to my channel. With Ideal City confirmed to be the next event after Lingering Echoes, let's take a look at the new limited operator of this event, Gavial the Invincible. Gavial Alter is a guard from the Centurion archetype. She can therefore attack up to 3 enemies in range at Elite 2. Looking at her stats, Gavial boasts high HP, attack, and decent defense, an average DP cost of 24 and 3 block, very impressive stats. Next up are her talents. Her first talent gives her a small attack and defense buff for each enemy she blocks, since Gavial can block up to 3 enemies at Elite 2. Doing the math, she will receive a 30% attack buff and 12% defense buff when blocking 3 enemies, a decent talent. As for her second talent, it increases the healing she receives by 20%. If her HP falls below 50%, the effect is increased to 40%. This gives Gavial a lot more survivability with the help of healing units, which is perfect since you'll probably be using her against some heavy-hitting enemies. Moving on to her skills, Gavial's first skill increases her attack, and each attack she lands heals herself for 40% of the damage dealt. While the attack buff isn't that impressive, taking into account her high base attack and the ability to hit multiple enemies in one attack, Gavial can not only dish out decent damage, but also heal herself for really impressive amounts when there are multiple enemies in range. Paired with the healing increase from her first talent, Gavial's survivability with this skill is extremely good. It is perfect for clearing out waves of low to mid defense enemies. The main drawback of this skill is the fact that the healing is tied to the damage dealt. This means that the enemy's defense can influence Gavial's survivability. This skill is therefore not recommended against enemies with high defense. It has an average SP cost and duration. Next up is her second skill. Gavial will get a range expansion and a huge attack and decent defense buff. When targeting enemies that aren't blocked, she will drag them towards her with moderate force. This skill pairs well with her second talent, where she'll get an attack and defense buff for each enemy she blocks thanks to the dragging effect. With such a high overall attack, Gavial can easily wipe out low to mid defense enemies with ease and even take on high defense enemies on her own. Not to mention the range expansion allows her to more efficiently target multiple enemies. This skill has an average SP cost and good duration. Lastly, we have her third skill. Gavial will get a huge attack and attack speed buff and gains 2 extra block. Reduces the damage taken temporarily by 50% during the skill's duration. And after the skill ends, Gavial will receive the remaining damage as a HP loss effect over 20 seconds. This skill is certainly unique. The stat increase is extremely impressive. With the skill on Mastery 3, Gavial's attack skyrockets. Her attack speed doubles, and her block count is now 5. The increased block count also means an increase in the number of targeted enemies from her archetype's trait, thus allowing her to hit up to 5 enemies in range. The delayed damage taken is great as it significantly lowers the chances of Gavial being knocked out during the skill's duration. But there is one flaw in this skill. The lack of any defensive buffs makes Gavial vulnerable to heavy-hitting enemies. While it is true that the delayed damage taken can keep her alive for a decent duration even in tough situations, when taking into account her block count of 5, she can be easily overwhelmed if she is tanking too many enemies with high attack. Thankfully, with the help of her second talent that increases her defense for every enemy she blocks, this is somewhat mitigated, but it's extremely inconsistent as it depends on the number of enemies she's blocking. Also, the delayed damage taken is useless against enemies with instant death abilities. Examples include Emperor's Blade's Black Fart and Frost Nova's Tile Freezing ability. Aside from that, this skill is extremely strong. It has an average SP cost and duration. So, should you pull and build Gavial the Invincible? After taking a look at her kit, Gavial Alter sure lives up to that title. She is an extremely strong operator to have at your disposal and will be a great addition to your team if you're a meta player. Some people like to compare Gavial Alter to Blaze since they're from the same rarity and archetype, but I don't think it's a good comparison. Blaze focuses more on providing consistent high damage with her skill too, thanks to the infinite duration. She is also the perfect operator for AFK strategies. Gavial Alter on the other hand is used as a burst operator. She even has the nuker tag on her profile. She is more commonly used against difficult enemies like bosses. Comparing Blaze to Gavial Altar is like comparing thorns with Silverash. Since they fulfill different niches, it's fallacious to compare the both of them. In a nutshell, does Gavial Altar replace Blaze? The answer is no. So, will you be pulling and building the greatest chief? Tell me in the comments below, and do consider subscribing if you found this video helpful. I'll see you in the comments. Bye.